you get tons and tons of junk mail every week like I do, and you have all of these envelopes and you really hate to throw them away, but you don't know what to do with them. They have the window in them, some of them have plastic in them, some of them are short, some of them are long. Well, if you stick around, I'm going to show you exactly how to use these to make some beautiful mini albums. Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and today we're going to take just some junk envelopes. This is just some of that junk mail that you get, and I saved the envelopes out of it, and we're going to make this beautiful little mini album out of it. See, you can't even tell that it's made from junk envelopes. The very first thing that you need to do is make sure that you seal up the tab. So seal up the envelope, and I just used some glue stick on here. You can use whatever you want. I just used that because it's quick, because you're going to put paper and stuff over this anyway, so you don't have to worry about it being sealed exactly correct. Alright, then you're going to make sure that you've got all of your envelopes turned the same way with the tab at the top. So I do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our trimmer, and right at the top we're going to take off just a tiny bit. Not much at all. We're just going to trim off a little bit because we're going to open that up, and my trimmer does not like to cut these, but that's okay. Like I said, all this is going to be covered, so I'm not going to worry about it. So we're just opening that part up is what we're doing. Now once you get the top cut out of these, then you're going to, and I go ahead and fold them in half, and I get my center point. That just makes it a little bit easier because all of the envelopes are different. And then I cut it right in half, just like that. So you've got two sheets there, and I just do that for all of my envelopes. Okay, we have all of those cut in half, and now what you're going to do is this little piece right here where you cut, you're going to go down through there with a little thin strip of glue and glue that back together. And I know you're going to ask me, well, why did you cut it in half if you're going to glue it back together? Because we need each one of these to flip individually, and if you had left them together, they wouldn't flip individually. They'd flip together. So this just makes it easier. It makes each page individual so that they flip really well. So just go down through there with a little tiny thin bead of glue and glue those back together. When you're gluing these together, make sure that they lay nice and flat. So you might want to just come over like this and press them over so that they lay nice and flat. Now when you get all of those ends glued together, you're going to go back through and just make sure that all of your open part is up and that your glued end is over to the left. So just check and see which one is your glued end. Make sure your open part is up, and then put them together like that. So there are our pages. Now at this point, if you have some envelopes that are longer than the others, I tried to pick out some that are the same length. But if you have some of them that are a little bit longer, you can trim them off and then just glue that end back together just like we did this end. But just kind of put them together and check. So that's why I go through and kind of pick my envelopes to make sure that I have some that are the same length. Now you're going to take a piece of scrap paper. I'm just choosing white paper, and you're going to score it at every 1/2 inch. So just go down your paper and score it every 1/2 inch, and I've already scored some of this back here is the reason I started there, all the way down. And we may need another sheet, but we'll see when we get through with this one. This is going to be our binding system. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut 4 of those apart. You see I've got 4 scores there, like that. So just cut, basically it's 2 inches apart. And then we're going to take glue, run it down this center part, making sure that that's a valley going down. And we're just going to glue that center part back there together. You could use some other type glue if you want to. I'm just going to use the art glitter glue. So you have something that looks like that. And now you're going to take the glued end of your envelope. We're going to put a little bit of glue on this. And we're going to take that glued end and we're going to lay it right there, right up against that other score line, but not go over it. And just make sure that the top and the bottom is even. If they're not, then your envelopes are going to go all crooked. And then put glue up here. And then fold this over. And don't worry, you can see I got this one a little bit crooked when I trimmed it. Don't worry about that. This is going to be covered with paper. So you see now, let me go ahead and reinforce this and I'll show you. Now this envelope is going to fold. It's going to flip back and forth. And when we put all of these together, each one of these is going to be an individual page. So they'll flip like that. This is going to be the binding down here. So just go through and do all of your envelopes like that. Like I said, you may have to cut more of these. This was just a 12-inch sheet that I cut and used. Scrap piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to have to make some more, but that's fine. So we have all of the little pieces on the end of the envelopes, and this is going to be the spine pieces. Now this is, at this point you can decide different ways that you want to bind your mini album. I'm going to bind mine with ribbon, but you could choose to put the rings, the book rings through there. You could choose to put it inside a mini album cover with the stack the deck, something like that. You can choose different ways that you want to do this, but I am going to put ribbon through mine. Now also you can choose up here. I'm going to have pockets at the top of mine. If you don't want pockets up here, then you can go ahead and seal this up. That's up to you. It's just some different options that you have. But I'm going to have some pockets up here so that I can put some little tabs and tags and things in mine. And trying to decide, I really don't think, yeah, I think I'm going to punch each one of them when I get the paper on there. I do believe I can punch them after I get my paper covers on. I'm going to punch a little tab out so that I'll have a pull tab. All right, it is time to start covering these. So let's start covering these. Now, this is the collection that we got with our February kit, and this is called Our House. I think it's very pretty, and I think it's gonna look good on this little mini. I still have a few of these in stock. If you want to grab one, I'll have that link below. So I'm gonna decide which one I want, and I think I want these little mushrooms for one of my covers. And when you're covering them right now, you don't have to decide which one you want for the front and which one you want for the back. You can just cover them and decide all of that later. Now this is going to be the top up here where my opening is. Down there is going to be the bottom. My cover needs to run from where I have that score line right there out. So you can go ahead at this point and measure your envelopes. Each one is going to be different, so I'm not going to be able to tell you what size, to do yours, because it's going to depend on what envelopes you have. Mine, I'm going to cut at just under 4.5 by 3 7/8. That's what size I'm going to cover mine. But there again, yours is probably going to be different. All of these junk mail envelopes are not made the same. So I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna come back just a tiny bit from 4.5, not much, because I can always trim off. Can't add back on. And then 3 7/8 right there. All right, let's see what that looks like. Okay, I'll have to do a little bit of trimming around the edge, but that's fine. I'd rather it be a little bit too big. But that's what our page is going to look like right there. So I'm going to go ahead and choose some sheets out of here and go ahead and start covering all of my pages. And then we will come back and start putting this mini album together. So we have all of those covered, and I went ahead and separated mine into 2 different little albums. I had 14 sheets, and I wanted just 7 in each album so I could make 2 albums. So I separated mine out. Now I just need to decide in what direction I want these to go. I want that to be on the front. Let's see. Let's put that one there. That looks pretty good right there. Now what I need to do is punch holes here since I'm going to bind mine with ribbon. But I want to cover for this first. Now this is a way that you can use up a lot of your scraps. You don't have to use a little new paper pad like I did. You can take your little scraps of your design paper and use them on here since they're going to be so small. Just use up your scraps. Pick a few that look good together and use them up. But I'm going to go ahead and grab a sheet of paper to make a cover for this. And you know me, I like teal, so I'm going to use this teal scrap that I had to make my cover. Now the way I'm going to measure to do the cover, first off you need to see what thickness you have here. I have a 1/2 inch there, and then I'm just going to lay, I'm not going to lay all of them, I'm just going to lay one of these down here on the end. I'm going to mark that right there, and then I'm going to measure a 1/2 inch from that mark. And then I'm going to lay this down again at that last mark and mark right there. Now I know right there will get me just enough to cover this, but I want to add some onto there. I want to add at least 1/4 inch onto that end so that I'll have a little bit on front and back. And it won't be exactly the same size of the papers. So there we go. I need to cut right there. And then for the height, all you're going to do is just lay your envelope down. And then just make a mark. And then again, just add 1/4 inch. So I know right there's where I need to cut. That's going to give you that 1/8 inch all the way around for your mini album cover. Alright, the first thing you're going to do is find the center of your paper. And nothing is easier than finding the center if you have a Tim Holtz ruler. Because on this side right here, it has the 0, which is the center point. And then all you need to do is just get that center point and then make sure that your measurement on this end and this end are the same. So mine's 5 1/4 here and 5 1/4 there. So I know, let me move it on up a little bit. So I know that right there is my center of my paper. So my center falls right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1/4 inch on the left side of the center and 1/4 inch on the right side of the center. So I'm going to score at 5 and at 5 1/2. And let's see if that gets us what we need. Okay, so we have 5 inches on that side from the score line and 5 on that side from the score line. Then if we put this in there, just like that, then we have about 1/8, a little bit over 1/8 on the top and bottom, but that's fine. I'd rather have a little bit more than not enough. So that is how we're going to insert these right there. I'm going to come in 1 inch from either end and then just mark that in the center. So 1 inch from both ends. Then I'm just going to kind of make sure that I have this first one straight, because if you have the first one straight, then the rest of them will just fall right in line. You can use this as your template. So I'm going to do that. Looks like that's pretty straight. So let's go ahead and punch our hole. If anybody out there has found a solution to keep these little punch outs from sticking in that hole, let me know. That's so aggravating. Alright, so there is our first one punched, and now all we have to do is just hold it up to the others and line it up and then mark our center. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on through and mark all of these. Now when you're lining these up to mark, this is a good time that you can look at the end and see if any of them are a little bit off. As you can see, this one is a little bit off on mine, so I'm just going to trim the paper. Now, if you trim the envelope too, which I'm sure I probably did right there, if you trim that envelope too and it opens up, just go ahead and put your glue down in there. You want all your pages to be the same, so I'd rather trim it off and then add the glue back in as to have some of them long, some of them short, that kind of thing. Now they line up perfectly. So go ahead and mark these, and then we will punch all of them out. Okay, we have all of our holes punched in there and they're lining up perfectly. Now we need to punch the hole in here. And what you're going to do that is you're going to line this up right at that first score line right there, and just kind of center it from top to bottom. Don't put it over the score line, just put it right up to it. I'm going to have to hold mine up so I can see. There we go. And then just make your little mark there. Now for this hole on this one, I'm going to have to bring in my big bite. If you don't have a big bite, and if you don't bring your holes in too far, you won't have to do this. But your crocodile only reaches, I think it is, let's see. Crocodile will reach about 1 inch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I line this up, all of my sides and the front, and then I'm going to go right through that hole, hopefully, and make a little mark. See if I did. Yep, I got a mark there. And then I'm just going to put this back on here and make sure that it's going to line up. Okay, then we'll take our big bite again. Or you could use a regular hole punch if you have one. Okay. I don't drag that guy out of retirement very often. He stays over there and collects dust most days because I very seldom need him. Alright, laying those in there, as you can see, our holes go straight through. That is great. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put our ribbon in here. Then we'll start decorating. So I think I'm going to use some of this dark brown seam binding. This is a deep, deep brown. Oh, I like that. Look at that. That is neat. All right, let's go ahead and tie this. And I like the seam binding crinkled, so I'm not going to try to straighten that up at all. I like that. Okay, I'm going to take 2 pieces of our scrap, and I'm going to make some little mats for the front. I'm going to layer the front part. So I'm cutting that one down to about right there. And then I'm just going to mark. I don't measure. I just mark. I'm going to mark right there and trim that off. Okay. So that piece is going to go right there. And then what I want to do is I want to matte a little bit of this pink at the top and at the bottom. So all I'm going to do is cut it the same length. And then I'm just going to lay this down on there, glue it right there. Then I'm going to trim a little of this off. Just going to leave a little border at the top, and then I'm going to leave the same little border at the bottom. So I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to glue it straight down. Like that. And then I'm going to put, I would love to put that happy on there, but I think it'll be a little bit too big. Let's just see. No, actually it won't. So I'm just going to run that happy across there like that. And then I'm going to put memories right below it. And I think I'm going to pop this up. And I'm going to use some of those big, thick, I don't know, my husband called, I won't tell you what he calls them, but anyway. We're going to use some of these that came in our E-Club kit. I don't have any more of these in stock, but I can get more. If you're interested, let me know in the comments below, and I will grab as many more of those as I can get. Alright, so that Happy Memories, I like that. And of course, we have to do some kind of butterfly or something on here, don't we? Okay, I want the butterfly, I want just to stick in the center. I want the stickiness off of this. So what we're going to do is use our little powder tool. I'm going to use my little powder tool just on his wings. Just to take that stickiness off of his wings. Because I want him to stick down right there. Just like that. I want his wings to still pop up. And then I'm just going to use some pieces of bling. And this is the black bling that came with the E-Club kit. Let's see. I think I'll put one right there. I think I'm using this so much because I'm so happy that I finally found black bling. And I think there may be a few more packs of this. If there is, I will link it below. I have it on a really good deal if I do have any more left, unless somebody has already bought it. So we're going to do that. And then I think I'm also going to put just a little piece of black there. And then a little piece right there. Cute. I like that. Okay, now the first time you open this is going to be really tight right here. I didn't put a score line there because I really didn't want that to be scored. But the more you work this back and forth, the better it will be. And you can put a score line there if you want to. I just didn't. But you see, they're all going to flip. There is all of our pages in there. And then you can also, back here at the back, you can put a pocket. And then you can cover the back if you would like. And for these scraps that we had left over, let me show you. I had these scraps left over when I cut these sheets down. For these scraps, what you can do is take some and put them on here, and just glue at the sides and the bottom and make little pockets. If you want to do that, you can make pockets on all of your pages. I'm not going to make pockets on mine because I'm going to use a 4x4 photo. I think it's a 4x4 that I can put on here. Let me see. Three by four. I can put a 3x4 photo on here. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to do the 3x4 photos full on here, and then I'm going to put my journaling cards and things like that in these pockets. Now let me tell you about these pockets up here. When you open this up, yes, you can still tell, as you see, that they are envelopes. If you want to cover that on the inside, you can. You can just take your paper, cut it, stick it down in there, and cover down so far just so that you wouldn't be able to see that. I'm not going to do mine that way, but you can if you want to. You can just go through before you put it together, take your little pieces of scrap, stick them down in there and glue them down, and then that's going to cover up where you can see all of that envelope when you open it up. I'm fine with mine being that way because I'm going to put little tickets and tabs and things in all of mine, so it's really not going to show. But if you want to do that, you can cover just down so far. You can just use your scraps. You don't have to go down but about that far. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my punch and punch my little hole pull tabs in the tops of these, and then I'm going to make some little tickets that I can put down in there. Alright, I have all of my journaling cards in there, and I just made mine at 3 1/4 by 3 1/2, just so that they would slide down in there well. And that's going to give me plenty of room to write, or I can even put a photo on there if I need to. So there is the mini album made just from junk envelopes. And if you're interested in this type of projects, I'm going to put a playlist right up here of a few more upcycle projects that you can do. Hope you will watch those. If you would, I would appreciate it. And then don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you like this type video, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss anything. We will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching.